Take one. Sword Fern Inn.
Yeah, so we're at the Sword Fern Inn in Haida Gwaii, and we're going to tell you about our stay so far in Haida Gwaii. So we started on our first day, we went to the Haida Gwaii Heritage Museum in Skidegate. What was your impression of the Haida Gwaii Museum?
Oh, it was a fabulous museum, world class. Just disappointing that they would not allow us to take photos of any kind with or without a flash. I asked why. They said because there was art that was on display and the artist didn't want the images to get out. So we weren't allowed to photograph and we can't show you anything.
We did have a marvelous
Tour.
Yes, we had a marvelous tour of the totem poles outside the museum, and the young woman of about 18, she explained the matrilineal system and aunts and uncles and this sort of stuff, and then went into how that related to poles.
And what some of the images are that we've been seeing on poles but didn't really understand. So now we have a much better understanding. We still have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But it helped us a lot when we went further on to Old Masset. Speaking of which, we then went on to Masset and Old Masset.
During the drive up, we saw lots of really beautiful beaches. We saw a sea lion. We stopped in Port Clements, which was a nice little town on Masset Inlet, which extends way inland in Graham Island. It's really pretty amazing. But this was a nice little town with a lot of pickup trucks in it. And we stopped by this dock, and it was beautiful. The inlet was beautiful and still. I raced around, grabbed my camera, got the tripod set up and this sort of stuff, and then the wind came up and the still water was gone. But fortunately,
Susan had her iPhone and boop,
just
took
snapped
the photo and there it is. So I captured it, he didn't.
Yeah, thanks a lot. The hotel that we originally booked in...
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so...
But what we got instead was a lovely B&B in Old Masset, run by a Haida artist
called
April.
April. It's called the Haida Gwaii Lodge. And it was right along the inlet. We had a beautiful view of the inlet. And it was also interesting that the people that were staying, these men who paint, there was a group of 5 men that were staying there that were painters. We basically got to talk to them when they were there. And the food was excellent as well. So
it was fantastic. And they had told us in the morning that they were having a feast. It was for a tour group, but they still had room for a couple more people. So they just added a couple of chairs. And of course, they always had enough food. And we had a lovely evening at that
the food was fabulous.
Artist.
The
Yeah,
food was fabulous.
The food was terrific.
Terrific. During the day, we drove out to Toe Hill. The views along the way were stunning. You know, we passed all these little rivers. We passed a beautiful beach where we had these huge jellyfish lying out in the beach.
Dead jellyfish.
Dead, but they looked like Mandelas. And it was just wonderful to look at them. And then further along, we stopped at Agate Beach, and Susan actually found some beautiful agates. We found out later that they're called sugar agates because they're a little white and translucent. But me, on the other hand, I just found a lot of colorful rocks.
That's okay. The rocks were all lovely.
Anyway, we went on to Toe Hill. There was this little box that greeted people as you arrived, that would sing a welcome song in Haida. And after that, there was a trail that was basically special planks.
Boardwalk.
Basically a boardwalk all the way up to the top of the
Toe Hill.
To the top of Toe Hill. And there was a fabulous viewpoint on the way, showing Rebecca, or not Rebecca Spit, but Rose Spit. Yeah, Rose Spit. So we stopped to have a look at that. And then we went on to the top where we had lunch. And there was a beautiful view back towards Masset of the beaches and of Haida Gwaii. And you could also see the islands of Alaska off in the distance to the north. It was really spectacular.
At that point, we were really close to Alaska.
Yeah, you could almost see Sarah Palin from there.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
But we didn't.
So we went back down. We explored the beach and the blowhole. Unfortunately, the blowhole wasn't blowing. I guess the blowhole isn't blowing today.
The tide was out, so it
Yeah.
wasn't going through the rocks,
Yeah.
which is what makes that blow.
But we had a beautiful view of Toe Hill and also of Rebecca Spit, and yeah, it was quite nice there. So we headed back,
And then
of course, and it poured rain. So we
that's
headed
the
back.
thing. It was pleasant all day long, but just when we got to Toe Hill and at the bottom, it started to rain. So that's the weather that has been so far. We've had a little bit of rain every single day, but we've also had a little bit of sun. We've had a little bit of cloud.
Yeah.
So it's just very changeable.
And today we've come back down to Queen Charlotte. We stopped in again at Fort Clement. We went on a lovely little walk to see where the, what was it, the silver, the gold, the white spruce was?
The white spruce.
Yeah, the tree that was chopped down.
Oh, yellow.
Or the yellow spruce. Okay. We went and we started to see the yellow spruce where it was. And even though the yellow spruce isn't there anymore, the river is really quiet. And it's a really peaceful place. So
Yeah.
we're glad.
That was a nice old growth
Yeah.
walk.
Yeah.
And then we also visited the Crystal Gallery
Oh, yes.
that was in Talal on
Yep.
the way back.
Yep.
So that Lucas was skeptical about going to a crystal gallery, but he agreed to do it, and I think in the end he was glad, and that's where we found out that what kind of rocks
Yep.
we had picked up on the beach
Yeah. And
from a very knowledgeable young lady.
we also saw Mirror Lake, and we also saw the, what was it? The
Balancing Rock.
Balancing Rock, yes. So that's all to report. Tomorrow, we're going on the trip down to the southern tip of the island.
Just over our shoulder, we get on a float plane, which will take us to Rose Harbor at the south, and then we get on, what kind of boat?
A fishing boat.
No,
Converted
no,
fishing.
the in-between boat. The one with the...
Zodiac.
That's it. A Zodiac, and we'll see Minstance, and then we'll get on the bigger boat that we'll be on for 6 nights.
Yeah. So you won't be hearing from us for a while, but we'll give you a report when we get back. That's all for now.
That's all for now.
Okay.